Family and friends of Alexis Garth, the woman who died on New Year's Day from injuries in a domestic violence-related shooting, are remembering her as a genuine person who just wanted to take care of her daughters. Tonight, they gathered at Tanner High School Park in Athens for a candlelight vigil. News 19's Alexa Harley was there, and she brings us reaction from the family.
Family and friends all gathered Saturday night around the Tanner High School track area to remember Alexis Garth. Those who came were dressed in purple and yellow, standing in silence. Family members took turns coming forward sharing stories about Alexis. People were holding candles, and on the count of 3, they all released purple balloons into the night sky, shouting, "Long live Alexis." Alexis's sister, Victoria Garth, tells me her sister was just a joy to be around.
At approximately 4 a.m. on January 1st, 2023, officers from the Athens Police Department responded to a reported domestic violence-related shooting on Oakdale Ridge Lane in Athens, Alabama. Upon arrival, they found 26-year-old Alexis Laperion Garth lying in a driveway with multiple gunshot wounds. She was transported by ambulance to Huntsville Hospital, where she succumbed to her injuries a few hours later. Police detained a 20-year-old Athens resident, Kyruen Yarbrough, at the scene and subsequently charged him with capital murder in connection with her death. The incident abruptly ended Garth's life on the first day of the new year and launched a criminal investigation that continues to echo through legal channels and community records. This story examines the facts behind that early morning shooting, the investigative process, the legal response, and the broader implications of violence and accountability in Athens, Alabama. Every case starts with evidence and ends with truth. We examine facts, not theories, details, not drama. This is Sunday Crime, where investigations speak for themselves. Subscribe now and stay updated as we uncover the facts behind every case. Alexis Laperion Garth was a 26-year-old woman living in Athens, Alabama at the time of her death. Public records list her as a resident of the area, and her name was later entered into statewide and national homicide databases documenting fatal shootings. Beyond basic identifying information, few personal details were officially released by authorities, which is common in the early stages of homicide investigations. Garth's death marked the first recorded homicide in Athens for the year 2023. The timing of the incident, occurring just hours into the new year, immediately drew attention from local law enforcement and the surrounding community. Officers arriving at Oakdale Ridge Lane encountered a residential setting with no ongoing threat reported at the time of arrival. Garth was located outside the home, and emergency responders worked quickly to stabilize her before transport. The suspect was present at the scene when police arrived, eliminating the need for a manhunt or extended search. Law enforcement secured the property and began collecting physical evidence, including ballistic material and other items relevant to determining the sequence of events. Investigators also documented the layout of the scene and established a timeline based on physical findings and witness accounts. Neighbors reported seeing police vehicles and crime scene tape in place throughout the morning hours. Access to the immediate area was limited while investigators worked to document and preserve evidence. Later that day, Kyruen Yarbrough was formally charged with capital murder in connection with Garth's death. In Alabama, capital murder charges are reserved for cases involving specific statutory factors, including the nature of the act and the use of a firearm. Following his arrest, Yarbrough was booked into the Limestone County Jail. The charge immediately placed the case into a higher level of judicial scrutiny due to the severity of the offense and the potential penalties associated with a capital charge. Within days of the arrest, Yarbrough appeared in court for a detention hearing under Aniah's Law, a legal provision enacted in Alabama in late 2022. The law allows judges to deny bond to individuals charged with certain violent crimes if prosecutors can demonstrate that the defendant poses a threat to public safety or a risk of fleeing. During the hearing, prosecutors presented arguments outlining the seriousness of the charge and Yarbrough's prior criminal history. The court ruled that Yarbrough would be held without bond pending further court orders, effectively preventing his release while the case progressed. A preliminary hearing was scheduled to determine whether sufficient evidence existed for the case to proceed toward trial. Court records referenced during the detention hearing indicated that Yarbrough had prior involvement with the criminal justice system. As a juvenile, he had been adjudicated under youthful offender status in connection with violent offenses, including a previous shooting incident involving other juveniles. Following probation violations related to those offenses, Yarbrough served time in a state correctional facility. Records showed that he was released from custody in early December 2022, less than 1 month before the shooting that resulted in Garth's death. Upon release, he returned to the Athens area under supervision. This prior history was cited by prosecutors as part of their argument that Yarbrough posed a continued risk to public safety. The Athens Police Department stated that the investigation into Garth's death remained active following the arrest. Detectives continued to process forensic evidence, including ballistic analysis and scene reconstruction, to establish the precise sequence of events leading up to the shooting. Investigators also conducted follow-up interviews with witnesses and reviewed any available digital evidence, such as phone records or electronic communications, to better understand the circumstances surrounding the incident. Authorities did not release detailed information about the relationship between Garth and Yarbrough, nor did they disclose whether there had been prior calls for service involving the same individuals or location. As the case moved forward, it entered the standard stages of Alabama's criminal justice process, including discovery, pre-trial motions, and evidentiary review. The capital murder charge meant that prosecutors would be required to meet a high burden of proof to sustain the case at trial. At the time of early proceedings, no plea had been entered publicly and no trial date had been announced. Defense counsel had the opportunity to challenge evidence, file motions, and prepare a response to the prosecution's case. Garth's death was recorded as part of broader crime data tracking violent incidents in Limestone County. While Athens is not typically associated with high murder rates, domestic violence-related incidents remain a persistent issue across jurisdictions nationwide. Law enforcement agencies categorize such cases separately due to their distinct risk factors and investigative considerations. However, no public documentation confirmed whether any prior protective orders, complaints, or interventions were associated with this case. As of the latest publicly available updates, Kairouan Jameer Yarbrough remained in custody without bond, facing a capital murder charge related to the death of Alexis Garth. The investigation into the events of January 1, 2023 remains a matter of public record, documenting the sequence of actions taken by law enforcement, the courts, and the criminal justice system following the fatal shooting on Oakdale Ridge Lane in Athens, Alabama. Facts verified. Case concluded. Justice is found in what remains proven. This is Sunday Crime. Until the next investigation. Subscribe now and stay updated as we uncover the facts behind every case.